Hello and welcome to Business Line. Turkey's ruling AK party grabbed a surprisingly robust victory in the weekend's snap elections. The result has been seen first of all as a triumph for the country's president, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan. Investors in Turkey welcomed the end of a 5-month political standoff and the return of a government with a track record of maintaining growth during 13 years in power. Markets were celebrating the stocks and the lira enjoyed their best day in years. What's interesting, outside Turkey, there was a different view on the election's outcome. Let's take a look at the market's first reaction before we go into details on the Turkish economy.
Markets in Turkey have surged after the ruling AK party's clear victory in the country's parliamentary election. By early afternoon, the main index in Istanbul had risen by over 5% and the lira was on track for its biggest one-day gain in 7 years. One analyst said the result was the best possible outcome for markets, which had long been yearning for a period of political stability. But in Western Europe, the reaction was not as positive. This analyst at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange said, "I think the stock market would have wanted a different result, a coalition in Turkey. If they now try to fundamentally change the constitution, that won't be to the stock market's taste. We also know that Turkey is incredibly important in tackling the refugee crisis. Most would have preferred to see a coalition." Shares in companies linked to the government's opponents have fallen. Analysts will be scrutinising how the Conservatives, who'd lost much economic credibility, intend to boost the sluggish economy and tackle inflation, which has reached 7%.
Turkey enjoyed rapid growth of 9.2% and 8.8% in 2010 and 2011. Last year it slowed sharply to 2.9% and 2015 has not been much better so far. In the second quarter, GDP grew by 3.8% and the government downgraded its year growth forecast by 1 percentage point to 3%. That was when the new medium-term economic program was announced before the elections. The International Monetary Fund expects the same pace, while the World Bank is being 0.2% more optimistic. The big news here is inflation. It's been a while since the consumer prices in Turkey have been rising, at the same time destroying the low inflation hopes of the officials. Here is the latest data for October. We try to dig deeper into the inflation numbers.
Core inflation in Turkey hit a peak for the year in October, putting pressure on the central bank to tighten policy by raising interest rates. Headline inflation slowed, but annual core consumer prices, which exclude volatile food prices, rose by just under 9% last month. The increase is said to have been driven partly by sharp falls in the lira, as well as deeper problems such as wage growth. Economists favour a rate rise, but markets are concerned about the central bank's independence. President Erdoğan, whose party's just been resoundingly re-elected, has been opposed to such a move.
As an energy importer, Turkey has benefited from lower energy prices. But it's been offset by the currency weakness, which has been hitting real household income. The Turkish lira has lost around 25% since the beginning of 2015. The country's central bank has been under pressure to act to relieve pressure on one of this year's worst performing currencies in emerging markets. Well, raising interest rates could help stem the lira's slide. Cutting them might stimulate the economic growth. So far, the regulator has refrained from big changes. I'm now joined by our Euronews correspondent in Istanbul, Bora Bayraktar. Bora, markets' reaction to the election's outcome was very clear. The main Istanbul index was 5% up and the lira regained some losses, as the key issue for the markets is stability. Does it mean there will be no economic changes?
Hayır, bir değişiklik olmayacağı anlamına gelmiyor.
No, it doesn't mean that there'll be no changes. With the latest votes, Turkey has now moved away from the atmosphere surrounding elections that's been here for 2 years.
Aylardır süren siyasi belirsizliği...
A return to one-party rule has removed the political uncertainty. This is already a big change. Apart from that, the government, the leading party, has mentioned many changes, many reforms. The major problem is the middle-income trap. The former economy minister Ali Babacan has said Turkey needs to carry out many reforms to overcome it.
These
people will be at the helm of the economy again. They're expected to take steps to beat this middle-income trap. There was also uncertainty about the value of the Turkish lira. The main problem was the continuous fluctuation in exchange rates rather than the decreasing value of the currency. A more stable Turkish lira is expected now that political instability is over. As I said, many reforms are anticipated.
Türk lirasının fiyatının da belli bir noktada istikrara kavuşması bekleniyor ve dediğim gibi pek çok reform bekleniyor.
Looking at the Turkish economy from outside, we might miss some crucial issues. What are the main concerns and problems for the people there?
Tabii insanların pek çok beklentisi var. Özellikle
Of course, people have many expectations, especially over the minimum wage, which was an issue in all political parties' manifestos in the elections. The ruling party is planning to increase it.
yükseltmeyi planlıyor.
Also, there'll be regulations so that private companies can access long-term loans. Steps like these will be introduced to overcome the economic stagnation of the last 2 years.
Ayrıca
To attract more investment to Turkey, strengthening the rule of law and reforming the justice system are important steps to be taken.
adım olarak görülüyor.
Other issues such as geopolitical problems and the refugee crisis also affect Turkey's economy.
Krizi, mülteci krizi bunlar da ekonomiyi etkileyen konular. Fakat
The ruling party has said it intends to carry out reforms in many fields. Now they have enough power in the parliament to take legal steps.
anlamında önemli bir güç elde ettiler.
After 5 months of failed coalition talks, now Turkey has a government, and with this new political stability, a positive movement in the Turkish economy is expected, and it's thought steps will be taken to reach growth of 3%.
Siyasi istikrarla birlikte ekonominin biraz daha hareketlenmesi ve ekonomik büyümenin de 3 civarında olması yönünde adımlar atılması bekleniyor.
That was our correspondent in Istanbul, Bora Bayraktar. Thank you, Bora. While some of the economic reforms are still to come in Turkey, other changes might already be underway. As this time we focus on the elections, we couldn't miss an interesting moment, the way some found out their results. This is it. This is IT.
It's crazy how a poll's verdict can turn two enemies into allies. No, I'm not referring to a parliament coalition in Turkey. This is about Recep Tayyip Erdoğan's newly found love for Twitter. On Monday, the Turkish president posted a tweet congratulating Prime Minister Davutoğlu for the victory, calling him brother. His fellow party member promptly replied, "We're determined to move forward with this blessed cause, which was inherited from you." But wait, didn't Erdoğan hate Twitter? He did. His scorn for social media dates back to 2013, when they were used to mobilize protests against Ankara's rule. In March 2014, the government even went so far as to block Twitter and YouTube after they were used to spread audio tapes related to an alleged corruption scandal. The ban was later overturned by Turkey's top constitutional court, which is a good thing, otherwise Erdoğan himself could not have landed on Twitter in February 2015. During a visit to Colombia, he used his official account @RT_Erdoğan to tweet in favor of Turkey's National Anti-Tobacco Day. And he's been tweeting more and more ever since, with messages of his own writing signed RTE. Why the change of art? No one knows for sure. Maybe someone convinced him of how powerful 140 characters can be. That was it. That was IT.
And that was it for now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.